Hello, everybody. This is Eric. Hope you're doing well out there in this world. I thought today we would focus on a particular part of the brain that has to do with anxiety that can cause some distress for people. Um, it's called the cingulate gyrus. Those who know me well probably have heard me talk a lot about this because I understand it both professionally and personally. Well, we all have a cingulate gyrus, but the cingulate gyrus has to do with focus. Well, it has to do with a lot of things, and it's really kind of interesting. The research is leaning towards it seems to be has its hands has a part in almost everything we do. I heard a neuroscientist who talk about that. But we're going to talk about getting stuck and getting unstuck. The cingulate gyrus, and here let's go look at it here for a minute. The cingulate the cingulate gyrus is this green part, and it's like the channel changer of the brain, a remote control. So if you want to watch sports, great. If you change it to the symphony, then you can change it. And if you want to watch the news, you can change it. So when we have too much over functioning in this area, like we are just overly stimulated, lack of sleep will do it. Low serotonin levels seems to be this part. We will have a hyperactive cingulate gyrus. So what does it manifest itself? Well, let's stay first on the anxiety side, and then after that, look at how it has other aspects. Worrying. How many of us know people that worry and they try not to worry, but they just worry? And it's kind of characterized by the same worry. So, say, like, you have your boss come to you and says, "We need to talk, but we can't talk today and it's Friday. We'll talk with you Monday." The worrier is going to have this running in the back of their mind all day, all night. Saturday, they're trying to do fun things, but in the back of their mind, they're kind of worried about what if this happens? What if that happens? If my boss is firing me, or they're mad about this thing I did. And then Sunday, same story. Sometimes people get free, but sometimes not. And it's really characterized by stuckness. I can't just change the channel. Just let me change the channel and say, okay, I don't need to think about that. I'll pray about it, think about it, and then on Monday I'll deal with it. No, it's going to be stuck in the back of one's mind. Some things it's just a little bit natural for this, like if people have to wait for lab results. We have people are waiting for lab results to see what's happening in their life. And that's not just one person, it's multiple, it seems. Um, Argumentativeness is also part of an overactive cingulate gyrus. It's like they can't let the discussion go. They can't let it go that I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. And so we just get locked horn. We're just going to keep on going back and forth instead of just drop it. How important is this really? Okay. Um, well, I'm going to hop around here. Addictions are related to cingulate gyrus. Specifically, let's look at gambling. Gambling, you go to the casino, you lose money, or you won money. If you won lots of money a long time ago, you're convinced that you're stuck. You think you're going to win more money. And then when you lose money, you're stuck, and it's like, I'm going to get my money back. So I'm just going to put in more money into the slot machine just to find out, no, you're just losing money, but just one more, just one more, just one more. Okay. Compulsive overeating, getting stuck in the cycle of eating and you're full and you're way too full. And it's like, why couldn't I stop? Now I feel like a gut ache. The kind of binge eating disorder, which fit the cingulate gyrus. The lack of serotonin can create this craving for carbohydrates. The more you do the carbohydrates, you just get stuck in the cycle. By the way, protein seems to be a good way to kind of help stop some of that, as well as the spiritual program 12 Step OA. Cocaine addiction, it relates. Any stimulant can make a person over focused. They just can't let it go. Chronic pain. How does this work? Well, you can't distract yourself from the pain. You had a spasm, a toothache. Well, a toothache. Something happened funny with your jaw. Maybe you bite your lip, the inside of your mouth, or you get a hangnail. Or you tweak a muscle, a foot, a spasm, whatever. It starts to just loop. And I've been able to unloop, which is actually quite amazing for me. In the past, I would have looped and try. The more fearful I got of, oh my gosh, this is pretty bad pain. What is it from? Oh no, is it cancer? Is it this? Is it that? I mean, I didn't really totally do that, but I share that kind of tongue in cheek, just to get stuck in that loop. And then you try to get unstuck. Well, fear has a way of making you hyper focus on something. One of the elements of this is you can't distract yourself away from it. You can't change the channel. People that can change their channel, they have something happen to them. They just go, wow, I hurt my foot, and then they go walking on it and it goes away. Or you have a medical procedure and the person relives the medical procedure over and over and they get stuck looping in that. Panic attacks really aren't this part of the brain. In fact, that's the basal ganglia, and other aspects, the limbic system. But the cingulate gyrus that relates to the limbic system, or cingulate gyrus that relates to the panic attack, is the person I work with who has had a panic attack. They're so fearful of ever having another panic attack that then they get stuck in, I'm going to try to make sure I never get another panic attack. And that's the more focus. A hyper focus is what we're also talking about, a hyper focus. So a hyper focus on the dental work, the hyper focus on the fact that I lost money at the casino, the hyper focus on the future, to the point where I'm not living in the present. Again, that would be cingulate gyrus. Cingulate gyrus also has aspects of sexual addiction, which I think is important to share. You can only imagine you get an image thought in your mind, or a shame cycle of what one has just done, and then they can't let that go. Okay. Any addiction, by the way, if we're talking addictions, alcohol, drug addiction to some extent, it depends on the drugs. Spending addiction, there's an OCD quality to that, especially if people are buying things and then returning them and getting a loop that way. Compulsive overeating, work addiction. It's like just one more report, just one more thing. I can't let it go. I can't shift gears. Again, a healthy, moderate cingulate gyrus, you could shift gears. You could just let it go. It's not time to do this anymore. I forgot what it was. I had little snippets of it in life. Like, well, I was praying, and in prayer, we get these distractions, and that's just part of the spiritual battle. And they'll always come like, I think there was something in another room I needed to do. It was a book I had for a client. I should bring that down. And it's going to try to gnaw at me to make sure that I get that book off the shelf to take it back to work. That would be kind of but I said, no, it can wait. I'll find another way to make sure I get that to the office. It's not worth running my life. There's Cingulate Gyrus dominated people. There's a certain aspect that we feel driven and compelled to do the thing. And we'll get to the granddaddy of all Cingulate Gyrus, which is um, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. But we won't go there yet. Um, but being able to be flexible, adaptable, letting things go, forgiving. The opposite that relates to Cingulate Gyrus is I can't let that go. That was wrong what they did. Oh, another classic example, if we're talking with people about Cingulate Gyrus overactivity, is I'll start talking about road rage. It's a great example where the person's driving and sure enough someone cuts them off or does something really mean or just really doesn't follow the rule of the road, and the person who struggles with Cingulate is going to hunt them down and try to set it straight. Like it's like a car argument. They just can't let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it. In fact, right, it's not worth it. I'm going to share another screen here and show this one. I think this is the cutest thing. Um, I will share it here. Let's get over there. It's a cartoon that I first saw on my parents' refrigerator. And what's funny about it is I've never really asked them about it. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. And let's get rid of me so that you can see it better. It's not worth it, Roy. Let's just give him our noses and let him go. Now, I think this is funny. I think it's really funny. Um, I looked at this for years, and it's there's a bigger, more rectangular shape here, but it's not worth it, Roy. So you have. It took me a while to realize the rabbit wants their noses because that's he's going to eat. He has a hair dryer and he's going to melt them. And Roy seems a little bit stuck. It's like there's some phrase about something about nose despite one's face, or but what's funny is they can get other noses, and that's how we are sometimes. Sometimes that's how we are, and we get stuck. How many of us out there get stuck? Um, some of us, it's more of a pattern. It's just much more prominent as the way they get anxious. Others, you know what? I'm being having a hard time destructuring this white thing behind me. So that's kind of I will confess. Um, People who struggle with Cingulate Gyrus tend to want things perfect, want to make sure everything there's a control aspect, a compulsion. Um, for instance, if I'm doing not just taxes, but any kind of financial business papers, not personal, but business, I just have to get everything to reconcile to the penny. I just can't go, well, it's 5 cents off. It's like that would bug me. I'm pretty good with QuickBooks to get it all done, but it just doesn't feel right. Okay. But there's lots of things I can let go and just go, it's not worth it. That's why I like that cartoon. It helps us realize, is it worth it? Um, That's like the casino, the compulsive gambler, the person who's struggling there. The person is going to chase down that bad driver and perhaps get a ticket doing so. Or arguing, arguing. Is it worth like arguing about masks or vaccines or mandates or any kind of political discussion you want to talk about? Some may say it's really worth it, but do we really think we're going to change someone's mind? Do we like? Would I invest $1,000 in a stock? By the way, I don't tend to do that. But if would I invest that much time and effort into something if I didn't think it's going to produce any good fruit? It's like a yard that you're going to grow vegetables and fruits, and you know it's not going to turn out well. But then you don't spend that much time in it. And people that suffer from cingulate gyrus or overactive cingulate, they do feel like it's worth every penny, and yet they walk away more in the red than when they started relationship. A question to ask yourself is, how important is this really? If we just went through our day and said, how important is this really? Well, it's not that important at the grand scheme of things. We could even do it with the current situation. And what I mean with the situation, and let's talk about it for a while, because I don't want to be insensitive at all to what's going on. And I wanted to find a way to maybe weave this in, but I think it deserves another video, which I don't know how I want to do it. I feel sick to my stomach with the vaccine mandates. I'll just be quite honest. I don't see that that's really going to help those that are waiting to get the vaccine, that they're going to change their mind by making them lose their jobs. I just don't see it. I just don't see the numbers being there where all of a sudden we're going to have all of us 100% vaccinated. I just don't see that either. I don't even see how a doctor or a nurse or anybody working in a hospital for at least 18 plus months who work so hard to help save people's lives, whether you're emptying trash, whether you're doing, you know, some kind of medical procedure right on the front line. I think that those people have been through a lot, a lot. And I see them as educated at different levels. I do think that the doctors are more likely to have been more educated than the person, who's just as important, but cleaning the operating rooms. But what you're going to see is those that the higher, the more education, the more likely they are to get the vaccine. And the less educated, the more they're not going to get it. And it poses the question of, could education be a factor, that if you give people education, like they got so stuck, they, meaning the governors, the politicians, got so stuck in their ways, they didn't have the flexibility to step outside and say, I wonder if there's another way to do this here, rather than getting stuck and just forcing an issue. I don't think people respond well to force, is my experience. And I think, for instance, someone had a great idea. If the hospital just sat down with people and offered them a 1 to 2 hour training on everything they knew about the vaccine, and then had a person address their concerns, could that help a lot of people who were on the fence to be heard and to be educated? And they could still say no, but at least they went through this little education slideshow or presentation to make a decision, instead of just have people educated on YouTube and then fire them because they won't do what you want. It's like, I got a little bit stuck on that. Like, how could we be not so socially intelligent here. Like, I'm trying to avoid the word stupid, but it seems really like so silly, actually. It's not even silly. Silly would be much more jovial. We're talking about this is tragic that you have people that run a hospital or run a country or run a state, and they don't have the social skills to think things through. Here are some other things that I thought were interesting. Like, if people are afraid of shots, like I've been around long enough as a therapist even to realize people even write this on their forms. Like, what are you afraid about? Shots. So I have an idea, why do they show shots everywhere? Like, what's that about? How, someone out there in the world explain to me why you can't talk about anything without seeing bare skinned arm going in there. Is that going to help us? I'm into anchoring where you try to talk about happy things and you get your shot and you look at the nice picture and I usually thank the person and yeah, it's usually it's not a pleasant experience, but it's un- I'd say 1 in 5 they do it so well that I usually compliment them on how well they do it. But it has a lot to do with me being relaxed. And if they're really skilled with this, they're talking with me and they've already done it. And then, I mean, I said, well, you didn't give it. Oh, no, I did. And they're so good at doing that while they don't warn you. So that you have no temp. Yeah, no, it's really kind of fun. But for most people, shots scared, they're scared. And what happens is that well, back to our topic of stuckness. Um, by the way, another cingulate gyrus situation is, and I don't even really like this diagnosis, but it's called oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. What is that about? Well, it's about people that don't want to comply. Not people, just young kids. If your kid won't mind you, then they have opposite defiant disorder. Why? Probably so that then you can find some drug to make them comply. I don't know. But I will say that there are a few people I know where they're so cingulate gyrus that if you say, hey, it might be good to do this, they're just going to do the opposite. Okay. Um, can I show this? Well, it is jovial. It's funny. I thought, hey, I have a disability. It's called oppositional defiant disorder. That's why I'm not going to get the vaccine because you told me to. Here's the thing, I have dear friends that would actually don't have oppositional defiant disorder at all. They just have read the literature and the research and they want to be in charge of their own health care. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a given. Like, this is so basic. People are going to be in their own body, whether I'm in the country of USA or Fiji. Um, unless I've served in serving in the military, where I say it's okay to do whatever you want, so to speak, for healthcare and give me a shot for anthrax and stuff. But I've seen people suffer as a result of that. But they say, well, when you're work for the military, your body is not your own. You're really dedicating your life there. See, I'm just used to having choices. And so I think that, you know, the system gets stuck out of fear or stubbornness. So, stubbornness, if we're used to being stubborn a lot, that's cingulate gyrus. Okay. We're running, time's going by pretty fast. So let's move further. But just I'd like you to think about how, if you want, how cingulate gyrus is affecting your life or not. If you're really flexible, I know people that got angry, then they go, oh, well, I'm sorry. And they really did make up and they moved on. The other us they're going, we're kind of mad. Like, I can't believe they just did that. And now I'm supposed to get over it. Um, I think that's why the song "Let It Go" was so popular. People loved that song in Frozen because is related to grudge holding, resentment, fears. To be able to have a flexible mind is a good thing. If we're run by fear and we're stuck, we can't let go. That I don't think is as much freedom as we think. Um, and well, should I share this? I think I can share this. Well, I mean, I've shared other things. So I waded through things to pray about what should I do with this vaccine. And I've spent months and months and months and months looking at it in spare time. I would say in a perfect world, I would have waited to get the vaccine because I felt that, um, well, because I would have liked to see what the data is realistically. Commercials, politicians, anybody can advertise all they want, but the reality is until we see the numbers. And a case in point would be my doctor, who's a really good doctor, but he shared about me getting the Shingrix vaccine. Shingrix, for those who don't know, it has to do with shingles. And I said, well, actually, the Zostavax, I think that's what it's called, was a shingles vaccine, but it was, I will just say it wasn't effective. And it gave people shingles about 50% of the time, I believe. And it might have been 13 to 18% effective. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I heard. And I don't think I've distorted the numbers too much. So why would I stand in line to get the Shingrix? And he gently, but really fierce said, well, I've seen people with blindness from a shingle. Okay, that's, yeah, but I'm not going to make my health care decisions based on fear. I'm going to try to go on facts and statistics. And I said, you know, the other vaccine? And he says, yeah, I know. I said, well, this Zostavax, this Shingrix has only been out, it's $500. It's only been out 18 months. I'd like to wait and see. Actually, the story gets really kind of strangely better or worse, depending on how you look at it. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. I go to pharmacists who I like pharmacists. They're really usually pretty good at things, of understanding things. So I ask, how safe or so I asked this pharmacist, and I was polite. I did not really give him any negative vibes. I said, I'm looking at maybe the Shingrix. Tell me about it. You know, is there any effects that we should be aware of? How is it doing? The effectiveness rate. He didn't even go there with me, and he wasn't busy. There was not a lineup, but he was kind of argumentative from the beginning. Really, from the beginning. I said, he says it, and he says it does no bad. There's no bad, no bad. I said, well, good, but the reality is that and, you know, there's always side effects from things. He says, no, 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 and it's like, okay, this pushed my Cingulate button in my brain. It's like, wait a minute. Um, if I got this Shingrix vaccine, do you think that you're going to ask me to sign some paperwork saying I could have all these possible side effects? I said, so that's how it is. This is basic pharmacy, that with anything you do, there's a side effect. I think he got up and left. And it's like, in my mind, I think that he might need to rethink how to present information to people. That's pharmacy 101. I've had one pharmacy course. I'm drug and alcohol counselor. I look at the research. I know there's always a side effect here. So anyway, by the way, I might be more open to getting Shingrix now, but that's another story. So I wait. So this is my mind. Um, Back to the story with my doctor. That was the year before the pandemic. And he says, okay, you can wait. Well, of course I'm going to wait. It's my body. Um, and I'm applying. But by the way, this guy's a really good doctor. Here's how it works: is this guy says if we can have you take no medicine, the longer you do that, the better. He believes in exercise. He believes in eating right. He lives it out by. He's compassionate. Um, And maybe that's why he was a little bit concerned, like, Eric, you're at the age and Shingrix. Ironically, right before my daughter's getting married, my sister gets shingles. She gets it, and she has to miss the very um, shower she threw from my dear daughter. It's just weird. It's like, wow, maybe. And then I see that on a billboard, 1 in 3 people are going to get shingles. It's like, are you just trying to advertise so that I run quick, get my shingle shot so that you can make more money? Again, this is all before the pandemic. Here's the thing is my own stuckness. I don't want to be stuck so that where I'm anti shingles vax or shingrix vax, but I also want to have flexibility in thinking. So then I'm at the shower. Of course, we're going to talk about shingles, and it turns out more people have had shingles. It does turn out that 2 of the family members went and got their shingrix shots, and they said the first one they felt really not good, really not good. Like, whoa, is it supposed to do this? To the point where both of them said that I didn't, they were afraid to do their second one. Okay. So that was kind of interesting. But speed it up to last year for my physical doctor says we should talk about the COVID shot. I said, sure. Um, so I shared some, I said, I'm kind of a wait and see guy. Remember the story with the Shingrix? And he says, oh, yeah. He said, now this is what he said. He says, we knew that one wasn't going to work. And I said, then why would anybody on earth ever prescribe it? Dead silence. And again, I don't think this doctor I don't think he's malicious at all. I think it's just part of a system that's stuck. It's stuck in, oh, how do I say this? Because I have dear family members that are all part of this. But I do think that aspects of this can be run by greed or big business. And the problem is, and then it starts to become a machine. And then people get sucked into the machine. So, to fast forward a bit, um, my wife and I were trying to work through the issues with, is there a moral issue with this? Is this really the mark of the beast? Is this, um, what are some of the other, this, we're getting a chip implanted, things with prophecies and stuff. It turns out that there's a whole other side to that where people, if they really want to know, they could personally reach out and I could share some ideas on that. But it's not what it seems. The other extreme is that everybody needs to get this. In fact, there's much more pressure from there, like, get this, get this, get this. I can't drive down the highway without seeing that. And now it's being so pressured, like, we'll give you food only if you get your vaccine. It's like, okay. I mean, bizarre if you want to put it that way. That's just kind of not going to build trust with me. And so, but we find some research to suggest that if we waited any longer for Novavax, and the way the Delta was going, and we weren't doing this out of fear. Um, well, a little bit, but not really, because I believe that for me, God's in control. And if the question has been, and it's very similar to the cancer treatment my wife had to go through or not go through. We prayed about it. Well, it could be good both ways, or it could be not good both ways. How do you know which one to do? So I'm praying and praying and praying. And I think we decided to get um, the, the vaccine before. Um, it was in August sometime, the beginning of August. And would we have liked to have waited? Yes. But when you look at the data, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands and thousands. And actually millions and millions, and actually billions of people that got the vaccine when we got it. And could they have um, passed away? And I mean, I wasn't seeing people pass away left and right. I didn't see whole countries like Israel and Portugal dying on the streets. For some, they had gotten it really early and they didn't seem to be dying left and right. Now, were there lots of stories I saw of people getting really sick with the vaccine? Absolutely. Do I know people that had horror stories from it? Absolutely. And I can't share even the horror story because I think it's too personal for this person. But I will say that this person I kind of knew died in 20 minutes and then hospitalized for a month, all that. But see, if my cingulate gyrus holds on to that one thing, then I'll never get it again. And I'll be stuck. I should come back to the OCD aspect of thinking because here we are doing a rabbit trail. But I think this is a good example of getting stuck. And I'm not saying everybody who's decided who's pro vaccine or not wanting to get the vaccine, or people that are tightly holding on to their personal freedoms or personal right to their own health care, that they're being OCD or stuck. No, I think that that's a good place to be. But I'm addressing that. Could there be an aspect of getting stuck on this? So, oh yeah, boy, talk about a rabbit trail. So, I get my first dose. I feel and I'm going to share all this experience in light of how cingulate gyrus works. Well, uh, okay, I'm going to we're going to take a side note to OCD thinking. So, OCD thinking is anxiety, but it's characterized by how might this not work? How might my hands not be cleaned enough? How might the stove still be turned on? How might the doors still be unlocked? So you get this. So it's really sorting for error. Now, the problem with that is the looping of it. You wash your hands, they're supposed to be clean, but what if they're not clean and I feel contaminated still? So then I go wash them again, and then I sort the reality of how might this not be clean? Well, they don't feel clean, so then I get stuck in the vicious cycle. Okay. I checked the stove, it's off, but how do I know that my memory of doing this is correct? So a lot of self-doubt. Okay. So this is where it will come full story, it will come back to the circle. So OCD is really important to understand because it's really cool once you understand how it works. It's like four aspects of the brain, and it's really rewarding to see people get free from it. I've seen people just horribly stuck, thinking that they're going to hurt people or they've done something bad they can't let go, and they either do a combination of neurofeedback or principles from the book "You Are Not Your Brain" by Jeffrey Schwartz, and they train their brain out of that. In fact, Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie about Howard Hughes actually caught OCD temporarily. He got stuck in the loop. He did the role so well that it was about 4 months even after filming that he was still doing these things and he couldn't stop because he felt compelled to do them because there's something bad would happen. Again, another great example of the thinking that can relate to what we're going through. OCD sufferers feel like if I don't act or think or behave in a certain way, something really bad's going to happen. So come back to like cingulate gyrus person struggles with getting the vaccine. How do I know it's going to work? How do I know that this isn't my death? How do I know this? And then you get all this information. It just goes on and on and on. What if this is the mark of the beast and I don't know it? What if I'm denying Christ and I don't know it? What if people are going to judge me for getting it? Or the opposite is if I don't get it, then what? I'll be dying in a hospital, and I can see the people pointing the shaming finger at me like, how dare you? You're using up our hospital resources. All you had to do is go get a free vaccine, and now you're going to pay thousands of dollars because you're dying in a hospital. I mean, it's the stuckness of thinking. So I pray about all this. This is kind of a funny story. And I know people, I will say, all my friends have been so kind, regardless on whatever side. And I try not to even bring it up. That's why I thought I won't bring it up. But here's the thing: I think I'm going to bring it up because I think you guys would need to know, that I decided to get the vaccine. And there were people I really believe are holy, godly people, and I saw them get the shot on a video. And it's like, so I know that we'll say the church is divided on this. If we could show tolerance and kindness and compassion rather than get so stuck on, well, I guess you can't be my friend because of a political belief or whatever. But anyway, now what happens is in the middle of my shots, um, the governor does a vaccine mandate. It's like, are you kidding? Then I say to myself, wait a minute, Eric, is this surprising? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I could have predicted this, and I was probably predicting this. I just didn't think it would really come to this. So my immediate reaction was to go, well, I just won't get the shot then. And I'm just gonna become a coach. I will stop being a therapist. And I'm sick and tired of being controlled. You're not going to control. I'm going to be exaggerating a little bit, but these are some of the thoughts. You're not going to control me. I'm moving to Idaho, and I'm now not going to get the rest of the vaccine, and other worse things. Didn't take but a few minutes to pray. Pray and say, well, wait a minute. I mean, the nice thing about having prayers that are kind of written out for you is I'm praying for God's holy will, not mine. Maybe God doesn't want me to move to Idaho. Maybe God doesn't want me to be so overreactive that I'm thinking I'm free from the governor by compulsively not finishing out what I thought I was supposed to do anyway, which was get the shot. So then I realized, stop, Eric, stop. You can get the rest of the shot if you want, or you cannot get the rest of the shot if you want. And it's like, that's right. So when we're upset, when we're argumentative, when we're fearful, ask ourselves, how stuck are we? Okay. Yeah, it's a really great tool to be able to be aware of these things. Did I get some symptoms? I did a little bit, some mind body symptoms from the experience, but I just surrendered through it. I just surrendered through it. And it's like, whatever, if I die. Here's the thing: some of the people, and this is maybe a challenge in thought, the people that I know that are really, I'm not doing the shot, it's not safe enough. I agree. I mean, we don't know yet, but they also will share things to the extent, well, we shouldn't be driven by fear. That's correct. I don't think we should be running for our lives to, oh, well, that could be a little bit irreverent. Well, I'm going to say it because I think any medical friend would agree. Oh, holy medical care, you will save me. Yeah, no, no, no. I believe that God will save us. Are medical professionals great? Absolutely. I mean, I've had surgeries which they probably saved my life. No, they're wonderful, wonderful people. They're kind. For every not so, I don't know. I'll just say that most of my healthcare people are some of the kindest, compassionate, smart people. Partly because I pick them and try to find someone who's more broad. Um, and some of the people that were alternative naturopathic medicine doctors, what's fascinating is that then when I learned that they really are into marijuana, it's like that just pushes a button for me. Like, oh, really? Gosh, that's too bad. Because I really think that from where I work, marijuana really doesn't seem to be a solution, especially when you have pregnant mothers who are using marijuana for morning sickness, and they say their doctors told them it was safer than the medicine they were going to give. And it's like, yeah, I still don't think that's a good idea. All or nothing kind of is characteristic of getting stuck. So I still go to the practitioners. I just remove myself from the aspect of I'm not going to be choosing marijuana for things, at least for me. Um, yeah, that's where I think this broad brushstroke, like what if we forced marijuana on everybody and said, nope, we know this works for this, and there's no other treatment other than you get this. And we should put kids on it. Well, we don't know what the long-term effects are. Yeah, we also don't know what the long-term effects of this are either. But I could be afraid and run and get a vaccine because I don't want to get COVID. And someone could say, well, look, you're being cowering in fear. You should trust God. The same thing is true is I can go get a vaccine and take a healthy risk there too. And God can save me through the process of vaccine as well. And I kind of felt like for me, well, why not do something that could help? And this is going to sound so communist, but I don't mean it that way. It's so unfortunate. But to do my part to help reduce the spread does it reduce the spread a bit? It does a bit. Not as much as we would like, obviously, but it's the CDC really screwed up when they said that it didn't stop the spread. Well, it does, like anywhere from 20 to 30, but not perfectly. So then the mask comes on, and then you have people stuck saying, but I got it. And I saw people arguing at a store. It was not fun. I got my vaccine, and now you're making me wear a mask. It's like, I'm sorry, the tune changes. Being flexible is I think where the key is these days. Um, while still holding on to what you believe to be true. The truths that we hold on to aren't held on to because we're scared. If anything, they bring peace. They calm us down. And things that I hold on to, it's like, how important is this really? Um, well, some things are important. Um, right now, I may, even though I'm vaccinated, may also, and I'm not going to do this in a stubborn way. I was beginning to get a little bit all or nothing, but I probably not going to go into a number of well, not stores, but places that require me to show the vaccine passport. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that out of free choice to, oh, what is it? Just freedom of choice. But I was beginning to think about my dentist and my doctor and start going down that path. Wait a minute. There are healthcare professionals. Maybe if they wanted to ask, that would be fine. So I'm trying to find that middle of the road on it. But if a church asks me for it, it's like, no. And there are churches, actually, I mean, it's hard to believe that would be dividing Christians up like this. Like, um, I just don't understand that. Just don't understand it. Especially when Christianity is supposed not to be divided. Um, I well, I was reading a really good book called Prayer of the Heart by Rachel and Alphonse Getman, who are French people in France and have a retreat center. They talk about the historical use of this Jesus prayer. But I thought this was so interesting. It was talking about how we're distracted during prayer and how it's the devil or the diabolos, meaning to throw, balo, meaning to throw in Greek, dia, meaning division. And I just got this. Revelation, this idea that that's what the devil does. He throws people into division from our own selves, division from God, division amongst ourselves. And that any distraction, that's what it's trying to do, whether it's a big pandemic, whether it's getting stuck on your health. Like OCD, and you can have an OCD overly health focus versus step back, look at the big focus of things rather than getting stuck on the big one there. Like health, we should be a little bit concerned, but the reality is that if we over care for the body, I think it makes us sicker. I've been there. Open focus rather than hyper focus. OCD and anxiety is like a spotlight in the old fashioned theaters where the performer would get up there and there was only just a white um, light and everything was dark. They had really different kind of lighting back then. They didn't have dimmer switches. There it is. And blow out half those candles quick, light them again, blow them out, no, dimmer switches have changed things. So you had a spotlight. And OCD is like that. We hyper focus on something. So how many of us are hyper focused on the news or hyper focused on politics or some aspect? Hyper focused on a relationship, something we disagree with, so it ruins the whole relationship. We have to suss the whole relationship out. We can become hyper focused on anything, really. So, solutions to this, well, I've hinted at what they are. Opening our focus. Try to see the forest and not the trees. Again, that's what I felt like I did with my own journey with healthcare. Like, let's set aside some of these where I was over focusing on things and just try to make a rational decision. I guess I should share, part of it was when I looked at some of the facts and I checked them out because I had clients getting out of hospitals who were sick. There seemed to be everybody in in hospital related to COVID were unvaccinated. The data did show that there was such a reduction of deaths. It was just convincing. And I don't think this was just a conspiracy or something that couldn't be proven. We would have heard about it from all these different countries. Here's the other thing is America has its screwed up politics, but Portugal, Germany, Ireland, UK, I mean, they have some problems. But you just start looking around the world and you realize, okay. And I guess I can share this. This is funny. So, and I don't, it wasn't funny at the time, but I get this. I have a dear person in my life. They send me this video of this person who's then saying, if you receive the vaccine, the prediction is that 90% of you will be dead in 2 years. Now, the old Eric would have gone, oh my gosh, and hyper focus. It's like at this point, fine then. If God wants me to be alive, I'll be alive. If I'm dead, I'm going to be dead. How is this really going to change anything? I had an open mind because I respect this person. So I start to wade through, and my critical mind says, well, what about that, that, and that? Turns out this gentleman wasn't honest in certain things. I did some checking on things, and then the motive doesn't seem to be there. I just don't buy in the motive that a few people who are in the know who spread the virus are trying to kill 90% of us. It just doesn't seem to make sense. And it doesn't make sense that this doctor who treated Trump, well, if Trump's the one who promoted this, then why did he let Trump make the vaccine that he could then be against? It all falls apart from me. So trying to let this go, like just let it go, Eric, just let it go. But it was like flypaper stuck to me. It's like, why would the person send this? Do they really believe this? Let it go, let it go. But then I was kind of mad and frustrated. Like, how can a doctor be like this? This doctor said he was had an FDA study, which is not true. The FDA so graciously, believe it or not, reached out to him and wanted to offer him that let's get a study rolling, but he went way over bounds and said that it was there when it wasn't there. It was just, um, and then when this doctor said, "May Governor Cuomo burn in hell," it's like, what? This is from a person who this again, this was sent to me. How can I listen to anything else this guy has to say if this is his attitude? So that's how I got stuck. And it's like, let it go, let it go. Do I respond to this dear friend? I don't know. What am I going to say? And do I have the time to? And then it just invites an argument. Will it change anything? So I share all this to kind of self reveal what it's probably like for me, and it's probably like for you. Like, this is like a lot of energy wasting time. And OCD, Cingulate Gyrus, think of the person compulsively spinning the wheels at the casino, the porn addict who's just can't seem to find the right image, the person who's compulsively cleaning the house and it's not clean enough. The person who I worked with who was driving around the block over and over felt like he might have killed someone that time. Then he has to checking behaviors. This deep-seated fear that if I don't do the right thing, something bad will happen. Versus, hey, just decide to do it or don't get it. But no, check more and more information. The phrase of what am I missing? So then we're getting more and more and more information. I think that's where this compulsivity comes into just wanting more and more information from the internet. So I think the solution is stepping way out of this. How important is this really? Getting good sleep. The harder you sleep, delta sleep, and get brain processes cleansed out. Yes, brain cells do collect toxins. That's why alcohol, in my opinion, and drugs don't help. Um, I mean, maybe for some, but you got to think toxicity here. Sleeping will help you detox. Exercise will help you detox, become more flexible. Some severe people might do well to do neurofeedback. Some people might do well to do, I'm not prescribing anything. I won't even say what drug I would recommend because that would feel like a drug commercial, which I'm really kind of against. But I will say that if one of you really struggles and you really want to know, well, if I was to do a medicine, what medicine would work better for OCD, you can give me a call. But I think neurofeedback and train you can get out of this by no doubt by learning to catch um, well catch it when it's starting to happening. Jump outside yourself. This comes from the book You Are Not Your Brain. Realize it's deceptive brain messages. Okay, that's the first step. You have to realize, oh, I'm OCDing. And realize it's a false information. You just feel like your hands are contaminated, but they're not. And then to relabel it, like this is OCD. This is not really about the hands or the cleanliness or picking the right vaccine or the thing. If you have an OCD thing going on, this is about anxiety. And the part of the brain, the center, limbic system, the habit center, and the self-referencing center, which has to do with am I being appropriate to myself, with myself, they start to have a mind of its own, and then you start to get stuck in doing a ritual. So you step outside, you revalue it. So this comes from Jeffrey Schwartz, Dr. Schwartz there. You revalue it and you say, this is not dangerous. This is a false car alarm that I'm going to be fine whatever I choose. Sure, I'm trying to choose the right medical decision for me. It's like what we did with my wife, but we then realize we have to just trust in God's hands and love for us. And then, believe it or not, the last step is to do something different. Don't stay thinking about it. Do something different. So, do something fun. Go on a walk. Do your hobby. Get on with your life rather than getting hyper focused. And sometimes I think the hyper focus goes from one thing to something more fun. So be it. I don't know if we can be hyper focused on God or hyper focused on a hobby that isn't fattening. I joke, is it fattening? Is it illegal or is it expensive? If it's none of those, then take up knitting. It could be expensive, or take up um, something you've wanted to do to get your mind off of this, and it will work. Yeah. I, so I apologize if I've offended anybody out there. That was obviously not my intent. But I also wanted to do self disclosure out there. By the way, this is not to promote any kind of health or decision. Actually, if I were to promote anything, it would be you choose what you think you need to do for your life. How can you go wrong with that? I don't have a plan for your life. I'm not going to say that this way is better than another. I believe in personal freedom. And I think we can have that even if people around us, government or people, are not into that. It's like, okay, yeah, but I'm not going to let it stop me from doing what I need to do um, to be happy. I would like to share that I want to do a video in the future, I think, to help people who have lost their jobs. I think it's really important to reach out and be supportive and to help them reframe how they see things. So that may be on a future live stream. I'm also looking at dipping into the Orthodox Counselor channel and start offering more spiritual focused things so that this could be a little bit more this way. So, well, leave comments if you have any comments. Let's see, is there any comments? I don't see any comments. So I wish you well, you guys. You take care. Have a great day.